Hello and welcome to this week's episode. It's great to have you here. If you've followed the podcast for some time, you'll know that I've spoken with a couple of people from retirement villages about what they offer residents and why people should consider moving in. This week we will hear what it's like from the inside. I'm really pleased to share with you a conversation I had with clients of mine, Nick and Jane Crowhurst. Just last year, Nick and Jane moved from their home in Highcliffe, Dorset, to live in a retirement village in Hampshire. Nick is now 73 and Jane 62. They're both fit and active and wanted to make the move quite early in their retirement because they wanted to live somewhere that they could age gracefully, that also allowed them to have a rich and active lifestyle within a ready-made community. After researching many options, they found Bishopstoke Park in Eastleigh. In our conversation, we talk about the many advantages living in a retirement village has had for them, including new friendships and more activities available than they've had the time to do, as well as the buying process and ongoing costs. They share the good and the bad, warts and all, of life in a retirement community. So, without further ado, here's Nick and Jane's story. Welcome to the Retirement Cafe podcast. I'm really pleased to be joined by some old friends and some clients of mine, Nick and Jane. Now, welcome Nick and Jane to the Retirement Cafe podcast.
Thank you very much.
Now, we're in your home. Thank you ever so much. We've got brownies, we've got coffee. I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you today. But of course, there is something that is quite unique to unique to your circumstances, your lives recently. You've recently moved and we're now in your new home.
Yeah. You are.
Yeah.
Yes.
so of course, lots of people do that. And tell me about the kind of story of how you got to here and why this is maybe a little bit different to a lot of people in their retirement.
Well, what we did was we started thinking about moving and started looking around during COVID, and we wanted to future-proof ourselves, really.
Right. So what does that mean to you?
It means coming somewhere fairly secure.
Yeah.
It means in a future-proofed flat, so all the doors are wide enough, the corridors are wide enough, all the showers are flat entry, that
so
sort of thing.
You think about your long-term kind of health.
Yes,
and,
really.
And as you
yes.
get older, you want something
That's right.
easy
exactly.
to manage.
Yeah.
But this is quite a unique place, isn't it? This is obviously, there's plenty of properties like that. Tell me a bit more about why we're particularly here.
Because this is actually a retirement village.
Ah, yes.
And it's a community. It's a ready-made community. It's got facilities. We've got a pool. We've got a gym. We've got lovely grounds. There's a restaurant. There's a cafe.
Yep.
There's a little shop on the site. There's also transport that they will take you around in. They arrange trips out.
Wow.
Especially if you can't drive or you lose your ability to drive,
right.
which is always...
Yeah, and it's a ready-made community. There's social activities. The residents arrange various social activities which you can join in as much or as little as you want.
Yeah.
It's also very secure if we want to go on holiday. It's great for lock up and leave as well. And you can be as sociable or as unsociable as you want here. Now, it's just a good lifestyle.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to having a look round a little later. But the... a lot of people's kind of view of retirement villages. I mean, you're pretty young for entering into a retirement village. First of all, would you agree? And second of all, are you young comparable to the other people in this retirement village?
We still are young, but there again, the other things, a lot of people, when we first came here, said, thank God you didn't leave it too late, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
You've got the facilities like the gym and the pool, and you've got to be able to use them.
You've got a bit of a mix of ages because phase 1 was put up about 9 years ago, and then phase 2 was a few years after that, and phase 3 is only just done now. So you've got younger people moving into phase 3. The people that were here initially are perhaps well into their 80s now, some of them.
Right.
That's one of the things that attracted us, of the fact it was becoming a new phase, so the whole 50 new people are joining.
Right. And so who's the organisation who runs this
is
site?
Anchor Hanover.
Right.
which is actually a charity.
Okay.
The other thing we liked about this particular village is not all have got. There is actually a care home on site.
Right. So we're in Eastleigh.
Yes, we are.
Eastleigh.
Well,
Eastleigh.
Bishopstoke.
Bishopstoke. So that's near Winchester, Southampton.
Yes.
Kind of area for people who are unfamiliar of this park. Now, you had some experience of these retirement villages before, didn't you? Actually coming to live here.
Yes, because my mum's has been in one for a few years. It's owned by a different company, but it's a very similar setup.
Yeah. Right.
She moved there after my father died, and she was alone in the big family house with a huge garden, worrying about maintenance and
all those
whatever.
things.
Yeah. So she moved in and found it was brilliant, loved the lifestyle, got involved in social coffee mornings and whatever, had company, was fine. And they were extremely good to her during COVID. They really did try and look after the staff. The staff really did try and look after them.
Right.
When people were having trouble getting groceries, they made sure that they got them in for the restaurant and then would sell off carrots and bits and pieces to the residents as needed. They came around, phone every night to make sure that everyone's okay.
Well, Jane's mother's quite a bit older than.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So how old was she when she went? She
in her 80s, wasn't she? About 80,
probably,
wasn't she?
about very late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
About.
It was a weight off our mind as well that she was, because we're in Dorset and she's in Kent.
Yeah.
And it was difficult to travel, but she knew she was.
And how long has she been in the retirement village now?
Probably about 9 years.
Wow, okay, so that's quite a long time. So she's got a lot of friends and
yes, she has,
really part of the community. And has her health continued to be well, or how's that progressed with?
She's fine. Yeah. I mean, she had arthritis, but she's always had that. So she's had a hip and a knee done since moving there, as I tend to. But yes, basically she's in decent health, yeah. And I think it's kept her going because she has activities. She goes across to a craft club and knits and does bits and pieces.
Brilliant.
And she wouldn't have had the operation anywhere near successfully. She'd still be in the old house. Being in a one level flat with a walk-in shower and things like that has made life a lot easier for her.
Yes, absolutely. So, a lot of people probably may not be familiar with kind of buying a home on a retirement village. So how is it different than just buying, number 3 Acacia Avenue? What's the kind of process with it, and how does it kind of financially work out differently?
Right. It's leasehold for a start.
Okay.
I think we've got a lease of 125 years.
Should outlast you.
Should outlast. Just
that's the idea. So that's one thing about it.
Yeah.
Apart from that, the buying process is very similar with your estate agent. They sell it here. They act as estate agents. You have to go through solicitors. They go through all the contracts. That's all very much the same.
Yeah.
Because we moved into a brand new apartment, there was an incentive. We had money for carpets and curtains and things like that, up to a certain amount.
And they did a lot of things for us to help us move in. I mean, to say we've had those doors. They reversed the doors for us before we moved in, so you get more lounge space and things like that. You
can customise slightly to different bits and pieces.
So you mentioned leasehold, therefore, obviously, the length of the lease, that presumably comes with an ongoing rent, an ongoing kind of maintenance, or how does that work?
You actually pay a monthly fee.
Right.
And that's to cover all the facilities. So that covers all the external maintenance of the building. It covers external window cleaning. It also covers the maintenance of the pool, the grounds, the gym, the meeting studio, reception, and all of that area.
Right. And the transport.
And the transport.
The transport's free.
Yeah.
Can I be rude enough to actually ask what the cost of that is?
£512
a month.
Right. Okay. So you got transport into the village, into the shops, doctors, hospitals.
Yeah. Here, not all villages do it, but here, as long as the driver's free, they have set days. They go to into Chandler's Ford. They go to Waitrose. They also take a group of men over to play snooker once a week.
Right.
they also go to various trips, so they'll take you down to Sainsbury's or they'll go up to the garden centre. So there's various trips arranged throughout the month. Some of them are certain shopping trips on certain days. But if they're free in the meantime, if you need to be dropping at Eastleigh for the dentist or the doctors at the local doctors, they will try and drop you down.
Great.
And pick you up.
And pick you up.
And how would you, how many... I think residents are the wrong word probably, but I mean, how many people are in the community?
About 150 more.
200
maybe
probably,
200.
near enough.
Okay.
It's
There's
a reasonable size.
Yeah. There's another 50 or so joining when the Twynhams with the
there's
the
a few
third
more
phase.
to come in
Third
still.
phase has been built.
Yeah, well, it's been built now. They're just moving in now.
Yeah, this is the first building in the third stage.
And then, of course, to give me an idea, or to give our listeners an idea, what would an apartment, kind of cost, just roughly? Or is it...
We paid just over 600,000 for this one. They
pounds,
do tend to be more expensive.
Yes,
There is a premium.
Yes.
Yeah. You've also got to be aware of when you sell it, there is a clawback.
That varies between places, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, between different villages and different owners. Okay. There's a sinking fund at the end,
right.
To cover anything major. They take so much value off. It's 4% here. So on the value that this, when this is sold, 4% goes back to the company for the sinking fund for repairs.
Others have a higher one.
Right.
You get paid more with others.
So you've got to be aware of what you're getting into.
That's right. Yes. And you've got the monthly charge regardless.
And that monthly charge, of course, could increase with inflation.
Yes, it's written into the lease how they're allowed to increase it and by what amounts.
Right.
And you do see the accounts for the company and all the breakdown of the expenses.
Right, right. So you just got to, again, get advice, be aware of what all the costs are going to be, and go, okay, now I know what I'm getting.
That's right.
For.
Yeah, that's right. Plus on here, on phase 3, some of the phases, phase 1 and phase 2, electricity and gas are billed by the company, Anchor. It's all on meters and they bill you. Here, we've got our own supplier. We're responsible for Eon, so we pay for gas and electric direct to the supplier.
Same as you would in a house.
Yes.
Some things are different. Yeah, we pay for water. We charge for water, and obviously you still have to pay council tax.
Right. How long have you been in here now?
Moved in right at the end of February.
Right at the end of February.
It's about 9-10 months.
Yeah, 9-10 months. What's it been like?
It's been very good.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. Yeah, we were slightly apprehensive because I think you always are moving into a new situation. No, loved it. We've got straight in. The restaurants, different villages have different...
They're all varied.
All different things. Here, the restaurant is open every lunchtime.
Right.
And then it's open 2 evenings a week.
Right.
And that's their social evenings. So the bar opens an hour before the restaurant and they try to do different themes or menus or different things. So that was some of the first things we went across to. And Sunday lunch to start meeting people.
Yeah. And what's that been like, meeting people?
Oh.
It's been very good.
Yeah.
Only thing is we haven't been names. Very difficult.
So many people and so many faces.
Badges, maybe. That'd be really useful.
No, it's been great, and they're very good here because if you want a table in the restaurant for just the two of you, then that's what you ask for.
Right.
If you are going with a group of people from here, then you ask for a table for those people.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, if you want to be sociable, you just ask to go on a social table.
Right.
And they're sticky with her.
They'll put you with either another couple or a group of 6, or they put all the tables together and you'll end up on one long table.
Great.
So it's brilliant.
Depends at the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it had just helped to meet people again.
Absolutely.
And they have a Monday, they have a weekend breakfast once a month, don't they?
Yes, they do a
communal breakfast.
Yeah, communal breakfast, which all new people are invited to in their first month, basically.
But you can turn up as well if you want.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. There's a residents' association, which we have to pay the princely sum of £5 to join,
Right.
and then we get one vote per apartment.
Right.
Yeah. On matters. Yeah. So.
That has some power. I mean, originally Anchor were going to build a first block over there where the car park is, but the residents weren't too happy about that, were they? Because it's encroaching. So in the end, they didn't. They made up the numbers by putting an extra floor on some of the others.
Right.
So they do have some.
Great.
And we're getting the The cinema, we're going back to the cinema screen as well.
I think so, yes. They've now put a big screen into the part of the restaurant to put it down, and they're talking about then they can do it easier for their meetings, and they're also going to put films on.
A film club.
Brilliant.
A film club, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Certainly over the winter when it was dark and wet, we have used the swimming pool a lot. That's been fantastic.
The gym less so, but that's embarrassing. But we
the gym we keep meaning to, and then the weather improved.
and there's exercise classes as well, which I go to.
Great.
Yeah. My balance isn't as good as it used to be,
No.
unfortunately.
Yeah, there's lots of exercises that are all included. So there's sort of balance. You can do seated exercises, standing exercises. There's a disco dancing group. There's aqua aerobics. All sorts of things.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You mentioned that you kind of, you came here because you were wanting to future-proof, and obviously as you
to an extent,
your mum, your mum has had the kind of inevitable hip operations and such like that seems to be the norm nowadays as we get older. What happens here as you get older and possibly more infirm? Are there facilities available for people? How does it all...
we're on. This is independent living.
Yep.
But there is also a package they can put together called assisted living.
Right.
Which I don't know a huge amount about, but there is an assisted living where I think you get your meals included. And you can factor in how much care as you need or whatever. Because the other thing is Anchor Hanover does employ carers. It also employs cleaners, all of which you can...
And are vetted.
Are vetted that you can hire and pay for. Obviously that's extra.
Right.
Yeah, so some of the people I think have got dementia, so they can hire somebody to come across for a few hours to sit with them while the other person can go off and do whatever they need to do.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, they'll also help with getting you out of bed, washing, dressing, and that sort of thing as you need it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's a long time in the future.
Yeah, definitely. But it's there. They say also on this particular village there is a care home.
Right.
So you could have one in a care home and perhaps one still independent living or whatever.
Great. Any negatives?
Well, there are some, I'm sure. There was
the apartment is not as big as a four-bedroom house.
It's the same floor area, actually. It's the same floor area, but it's just...
So that's taking a bit of adjusting to to get used to
downsizing in some way.
You are fairly close to neighbours. I mean, when you come in the main door, you've got another few flats around you, which could be a negative.
Yeah, no garden is a big one for some.
Yeah, I think perhaps no garden. We've got the patio, we've got the little balcony. For
even
me,
the downstairs
that's not...
flat, you don't get that much.
Right.
You can get an allotment, a small allotment.
Yeah, they have got some beds, some raised little beds that you can use.
We weren't at gardening anyway, so it didn't bother us at all.
No. Okay, so I can see that for some people who love their garden and love that type of thing, it's maybe a negative.
For me, I've got the grounds to walk around and sit in without having to do the gardening.
Yeah, the grounds are quite extensive.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And here, if you walk across the other side of the road, you've got Bishopstoke Park, which is an enormous wooded area.
Beautiful.
With all-weather walking tracks and things like that all the way through it.
Yeah, there's a Stoke Park Woods, which has got a 3-kilometre gravelled path all round through.
So it seems to me, I mean, we talk about the successful later life of around, friendship and social interaction is significantly important. Keeping fit and healthy is obviously staves off dementia and all other types of things, and make sure we have a better life for longer. And financially, if you can afford it,
yes, I think that's the thing.
That is the big thing. It is expensive. It's a choice.
It's a lifestyle choice. Yeah. But I know. I mean, we used to play bowls. When we were in Christchurch, we used to play bowls, indoor and outdoor with U3A. We also used to do board games and card games and that sort of thing. But beyond that was really our 2 or 3 things a week. Here, there's something on. We still play bowls. We go down to Fair Oak and play in the hall down there.
Right.
That's external. We still do that. We've still got the car. There's a board. The residents do board games and card games every month, which you can go across to. But they also do social evenings, so they do a murder mystery evening, they do quizzes, all sorts of other things as well, basically. Yeah. There's tea and coffee afternoon once a month. So just a lot more, and a lot more variety, really.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot more different people that we see.
Yeah. I mean, to say, we found it very quiet on our estate, didn't we? Because the way it was set up, you could never... Often you didn't see neighbours for months, if not years, literally.
Sure.
Yeah.
So now you have this on-tap community that you can engage with or not engage
with. That's
right.
right. It's pure choice. How much you do. Yeah, and obviously we've got our own front door, so you can stay in. You don't need, you don't need to see anyone, but you can.
No garage might annoy some people. You don't have a garage,
right?
Yeah, and obviously to come with the lease, there are various rules and regulations within the lease as to what you can and can't do. Like one of them, which I think might upset, you can't wash your car. They don't want car washing people coming around in where everyone's car's parked, and doing that. So you're supposed to take your car off site and get it washed. Okay. So just silly little things. I mean, it doesn't bother us.
No, but again, be very aware what you're signing up to.
That's right.
And agree it before you...
The other thing is, of course, if you want to change the inside of the apartment in major ways, you need to get permission.
Yeah. Right. Or electrical work.
But you can change kitchens and that, as long as you're keeping it basically the same layout, because you're just replacing like with like. But if you want to do major, like not walls down or anything, you do need written permission.
Right. Yeah.
And they have to check that it can be done, because...
Yes, because the properties have been designed purposely for this type of living.
That's right.
And this type of construction.
Yeah.
There's also, of course, there's a maintenance team on site if you need them. Again, you pay for their time if it's something you want done. But that's always useful. So if something goes wrong, you could just ring over to reception and they send someone round.
Great.
It's got a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
And it was quite useful for me because I had my cataracts on, as you know.
Yes.
And that was just slightly worrying, just in case I might not have been able to drive afterwards, because I had several other eye problems. But that's been successful. But that was quite useful then, because we had the transport available.
Yeah.
And the other thing we haven't mentioned, of course, is the town Eastleigh. You can walk to from here,
right?
Which is one of the things we picked.
Yeah, when we looked at different retirement villages, some of them charge more per month. Some of them have got, but then they've got restaurants open all the time. So I think you're perhaps subsidising more of the restaurant, whereas ours is only open 2 nights a week. Some of them are not willing to run around dropping at dentists and doctors. Some just do set trips on set days. Yeah. We looked at a couple of other villages. One was over towards Romsey. I think it was a different provider. And it was a very similar setup with a big house, lots of grounds and whatever. But it was on a country road with no lights, in a lane with no pavements.
Yeah, you couldn't.
So it was although it was a lovely spot and lovely apartments,
you were rather trapped in it.
For us it wouldn't have worked because we still want to get out and walking.
Yes.
And also if you're driving back, when you get older perhaps, no lights on a country lane is not the best.
No.
So you do need, again, it's location.
Yeah.
And Eastleigh,
same as a house.
Eastleigh, although it's not probably as rich a town as Christchurch, it has got all the facilities. It's got a shopping centre, banks, shops.
And of course the train line.
And you've got the train line.
London and wherever.
Yeah. And you've got the motorway.
Yes.
The M3 meets the M27 just about a mile or 2 away from here. So.
Yeah, to get out onto the M3 we can go north up through Banbridge and out that way.
Yes.
Yeah. And the airport.
Of course.
And we've got Southampton Airport.
You have got, really well connected, aren't you?
It's one of the reasons we picked this place as well, with the connections.
Plus, I say, we can walk into town in about 20-25 minutes, which for us now is fantastic.
Yeah.
So this suits us now.
Yes.
And hopefully will suit us for a long time in the future, which is the idea.
Yeah. No, ideal.
Our neighbour is in her 80s, she walks into town sometimes. We should just catch the bus back because it is slightly hilly here. That's
yeah, they get taxis back. But
Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, I think that's been thoroughly interesting from my own perspective, and I'm sure for many of our viewers and listeners. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me this morning.
No problem.
And
And if anyone would like any further questions or details, I'm happy to answer.
Brilliant.
You forward them on.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we will do. We will do. And once again, thank you so much.
It's a personal choice. I think the other thing is that we haven't got any children, which does make a difference in some ways.
Of course.
Yeah, I think perhaps if you were worried about leaving all of your money, every single penny to your children, then perhaps you wouldn't want a sinking fund on the end. For us, it's...
Yeah. Or possibly you're just giving up a little bit of the growth in the money, aren't you?
That's true.
That's true, yeah.
So, again, it depends. And of course, if you're over your inheritance tax limit, you're actually,
it's no good anyway.
You're saving some tax, aren't you?
That's right, yeah. You're going to lose it one way or the other.
It all depends on everyone's philosophy, doesn't it? Yeah. So, but anyway, once again, thank you so much. It's really fascinating. And, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing the rest of the site.
Yeah, we'll take you around.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Right.
A big thank you to Nick and Jane for inviting me into their home and for sharing their story with us today. To find out more about their retirement village, you can find the link to Bishopstoke Park on our website at retirementcafe.co.uk. As ever, if you've enjoyed this episode, please do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, as it really helps more people like you find us. And for more interviews and retirement planning videos, you may want to check out my YouTube channel. Just search for Justin King MFP, or click the link in the show notes. If you have an idea for a guest or a topic you'd like to hear about on the Retirement Cafe podcast, please get in touch on hello@retirementcafe.co.uk, or you can find me on Twitter at JustinKingCFP. I hope to hear from you soon. So until next time, I'm Justin King, helping you feel more informed in your retirement.